Hello dear friends, welcome to another lecture of strength of material, and today we are going to learn how to calculate stresses and deformation in circular shaft subjected to torsion, my friend. Okay, we are going to see the theory, the concept behind torsion, and we are also going to solve a lot of numericals based on these concepts. Now those of you who are watching me for the first time, let me give a brief introduction of mine. My name is Aprup Rao, MTech from IIT Kharagpur. My specialization for PG was mechanical systems design. Then I worked in Mahindra and Mahindra automotive sector. I worked in their research and development center called Mahindra Research Valley for 2 years as deputy manager. Then I quit my job and I started teaching. So I've been teaching for more than 6 years. Students preparing for GATE, engineering services, any other exams related to mechanical engineering. And I teach subjects related to design. I've always been associated with design. So I teach subjects related to design, strength of material, engineering mechanics, machine design, and theory of machines. And I have been teaching strength of materials from the very basic. If you see all my lecture from lecture 1 till the lecture now, you will see that I have been covering all the concepts in a very sequential manner, my friend. So if you like my video, please hit the like button and share it with all your friends. And don't forget to subscribe our channel Unacademy Gate ME, where we have been posting live online lectures of all the subjects, my friend. We are covering all the subjects of mechanical engineering. So don't forget to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon. And we have one more offer for you, my friends. In the description of the video, there is a link of our Telegram channel, my friend, where we post all the relevant study material related to our lectures. So don't forget to share that. Don't forget to subscribe that also. Okay. So let's move on with our lecture today. So today we are going to cover torsion in circular shaft, which is a very important topic for mechanical engineering students. Torsion in circular shaft. Now, first of all, we need to understand what is torsion, my friend. Okay, first of all, we need to understand what is torsion. So, let's say we have a cylindrical body. Let's say we have a cylindrical body fixed at one end. Okay, let's say we have a cylindrical body fixed at one end, and it is subjected to a moment at the other end, and this moment, my friend, is acting about the normal axis of the cross section. This axis is the normal axis, x-axis. This axis is the normal axis of the cross section, my friend. So the moment that we are applying is acting on this normal axis. This P is acting about the normal axis. Let's say this is a cylindrical body, my friend. So there are three axes of this cylindrical body. If this is the cross section, then there are three axes, my friend: x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So this moment that we are applying is acting about the normal axis. If you apply moment about parallel axis, this axis will be the parallel axis, this axis will be the parallel axis, y-axis and z-axis, these two axes will be the parallel axis. So if you apply moment about the parallel axis, then it is called bending moment, and if you apply moment about this normal axis, then it is called a twisting moment or torsional moment, also called as torque, my friend. Okay, so what is torsion? It is a moment acting about the normal axis of the cross section. Okay, it is a moment acting about the normal axis. See, this is the body. So if you apply a moment about normal axis, it is going to twist the body. If you apply moment about this axis, y-axis or z-axis, it is going to bend the body. So that moment is a bending moment, which we have already covered in case of beams. But right now we are talking about shafts, and shafts are subjected to twisting moment. This moment act about the normal axis. So I hope you understand what is a torsion. Torsion is also known as twisting moment or torque. Okay, it is also known as twisting moment, or you can also call it torque. Okay, this is also called torque. So torque, torsional moment, twisting moment, one and the same thing. Okay, so we have a circular shaft which is subjected to a torque at one end, and the other end is fixed, my friend. So there will be a reaction torque here. equal and opposite to this torque, there will be a reaction torque here. Okay. Now look at the cross section, my friend. This is the cross section of the body. This is the cross section of the body. Okay, this is the cross section of this circular shaft. So look at the cross section, my friend. Let's consider this cross section. Okay, this is the cross section. Okay, this is the center, my friend. Okay, now what we need to calculate, my friends? We need to calculate two things, my friends. We need to calculate the stress and the deformation in this cross section. Due to this torque, our objective is to calculate the stress and the deformation in this plane. Okay, this is the cross sectional plane of the body. We have to calculate the stress, we have to calculate the deformation. Okay, all right. Now let's consider this diameter. Let's consider this diameter. Let's say this is point O. Okay, and we are applying a torque like this, right? We are applying a moment like this. It is acting about this axis. If this is the cross section, this moment is acting about this axis. Okay, we are applying a torque about this axis. Okay, normal axis. Okay, so what will happen, my friend? Due to this torque, this diameter is going to deform, right? This diameter is going to deform. Now, my friend, a very important point to note: in case of torsion in circular shaft, in order to calculate the stresses and the deformation, our basic assumption is when this diameter will deform, it will remain straight. Due to this torque, what will happen? The diameter will deform by some angle, right? But our assumption is that it will remain straight, my friend, and this is a very important point, my friend. This is a very important assumption. What is our basic assumption, my friend? That this diameter, when it will deform by some angle, when it will deform due to this torque by some angle, it will remain straight. It will not going to distort like this, like this. See, here what is happening, my friend? Here what is happening? The diameter is distorted. This is known as distortion. Okay, this is known as distortion. But here I am assuming that the diameter will remain straight, my friend. Okay, so this is a very important assumption, my friend. Okay, now this is the angle of deformation. This theta is the angle of deformation, and this theta is known as angle of twist. It is the angle by which this diameter is deformed. It is the angle by which the diameter is distorted or twisted. Okay, so this is known as angle of twist. Okay, now consider a few points on this diameter, my friend. Consider this point. Okay, consider this point, consider this point. Let's call it A, let's call it B, let's call it C. Okay, now initially point A was here, then it was deformed here, right? Initially B point was here, then it deformed here. Initially C point was here, then it deformed here. Look at the deformation, my friend. Look at the deformation. This is telling you how much A got deformed. This is telling you how much B got deformed. This is telling you how much C got deformed. Look at the deformation, my friend. How this deformation is distributed. What is the distribution of deformation, my friend? From A point to O point. At point O, what is the deformation? Point O never got deformed because initially it was here, finally also it is here. So what is deformation of center? 0. And as you move outside, you can see that deformation is varying linearly, my friend. A very important point to remember, a very important point to note. What is our basic assumption? Our assumption is that when the diameter will deform by theta, it will remain straight. It will not deform like this. It will not distort like this. This means we are assuming that the deformation from outer surface to center will vary linearly. If your deformation is this like this, look at this, look at this. What is this distribution? This is like a parabolic distribution, and this is a linear distribution, my friend. I told you that in order to calculate stress, in the first class I told you, when we were discussing about stress, in the first class I told you, whenever we need to calculate stress, we assume how the body is going to deform. So here what is our assumption? That the diameter will remain straight after twisting, and due to that the deformation from outer surface to center is linear, my friend. And if the deformation is linear, stress will also be linear. Why? Deformation, the resistance to deformation is internal force, and internal force per unit area is the stress. So if the deformation is linear, stress will also be linear, my friend, according to Hooke's law. Hooke's law is what? Stress is proportional to strain. So if strain is linear, stress is also linear, my friend. Okay. So here, whatever stress we will get, it will be linear. And which stress we will get? Which stress we will get? Look at this deformation, my friend. It is parallel to cross section, means force will also be parallel to cross section, internal force. This deformation, in order to resist deformation, we get forces, internal forces, right? So internal force will also be parallel, right? And stress will also be, internal force will also be parallel and stress will also be parallel. So which stress we will get, my friend? We will get shear stress, right? Due to this torque, which stress we will get? We will get shear stress, my friend. So shear stress distribution will also be linear. This will show the stress distribution also, okay? Shear stress distribution. So do you understand this concept? Now let's talk about the torsion equation, okay? So based on all these assumptions, we derive the torsion equation, which is given by T by J equals to tau by R equals to G theta by L. My friend, you just need to understand this equation. You just need to memorize this equation, and every problem of torsion in circular shaft can be solved using this single equation, my friend. It is very similar to this equation, my friend. M by I equals to sigma by Y equals to E by R. It is very similar to this. Okay, what is the similarity? Instead of bending moment, we have twisting moment. Instead of moment of inertia, we have polar moment of inertia. Instead of sigma, what we are getting? Tau. Instead of vertical distance, what we have to consider? Radial distance. Okay. Instead of Young's modulus, what we have? Modulus of rigidity. And instead of radius of curvature, what we have? Angle of twist, my friend. Okay. So all these are very similar equations. Okay. All these parameters are also very similar to each other. Okay. So let's talk about each and every parameter. Let's talk about what is T, what is J, what is tau, what is R. Let's talk about that. Okay. So first we will talk about tau and R. So what is tau, my friend? Tau is shear stress at any distance R. Okay. Tau is what? Shear stress at any distance R. Look at this. Look at this, my friend. The deformation at every point is not equal, right? What is the deformation at center? 0. What is the deformation at outer surface? Maximum. From outer surface to center, deformation is linearly decreasing. Okay. So tau is also linearly decreasing. Tau is also varying linearly, my friend. At center, what will be tau? 0. At outer surface, what will be tau? Maximum, my friend. Okay. So tau will be like this. If this is the diameter, this is the center. This is the cross section. This is the center. So at center, tau will be 0. Here tau will be maximum. Here tau will be maximum. Here tau will be 0. And here also tau will be maximum, my friend. Here also tau will be maximum. And from here to here, the distribution will be linear, my friend. Here to here, distribution will be linear. From this point to this point, if you go, tau will vary linearly. Why we are getting a linear distribution? Because we are assuming that diameter after twisting will remain straight, my friend. Okay, it is a very important theory question, conceptual question. In interviews also, you can get questions like this. Why do we get a linear distribution of tau? Okay, because we assume that the diameter remains straight. Okay, after twisting, the diameter remains straight. So this is tau. Okay, so tau will not be equal at every point. At center, tau will be 0. And where will you get tau maximum, my friend? You will get tau maximum at outer surface. Okay. And what is R, my friend? What is this R? It is the radial distance. It is the radial distance from center. Okay. It is the radial distance from center. Okay. What is radial distance? Let me tell you. Okay. If you are thinking what is radial distance, what do we mean by radial distance? So let me tell you. Okay. So let's say this is the cross section. Okay. This is the center. Okay. Let's say this is the cross section. This is the center. Consider this point. Okay. Consider this point. This distance is vertical distance, which we consider in bending. In bending, which distance we consider? We consider the vertical distance. Why? But this distance is the radial distance, my friend. Okay, direct line. If you draw a direct line from this point to this point, what you will get? Radial distance, my friend. Okay, so this distance is the radial distance. Okay, so for any point, let's say this is the center point O, and let's say this is the point where you want to calculate tau. So what will be R, my friend? If you draw a direct line connecting this point and O, then you will get R. This will be the R. Okay, and I will also tell you what will be the direction of tau. What will be the direction of tau? So the direction of tau will be perpendicular to this line, my friend. Direction of tau will be perpendicular to this line. Okay, let's say you are considering this point. Okay, you want to calculate tau at this point. So draw a line from this point to center. This will be your R, and what will be the direction of tau, my friend? It will be perpendicular to this line, perpendicular to this line. Okay, this will be tau. So do you understand what is tau and what is R? Tau is what? Shear stress at any distance R, and R is what? Radial distance from center. Where will you get maximum tau? You will get maximum tau at outer surface, because for outer surface R will be maximum, my friend. For these points, for all these points, R will be maximum and tau will be maximum, my friend. Okay, so do you understand this? Okay, very good. Now what is this? What is this T? T is the torque, my friend. Okay, very easy. T is the resisting torque. This parameter is very important to understand, my friend. J, which is known as polar moment of inertia. Okay, this is a very important parameter to understand. Now I have already explained what is moment of inertia. In case of bending, I have already explained what is moment of inertia. What is moment of inertia, my friend? And I am not asking about the definition. I am not asking about the definition. I want to know what is the meaning of moment of inertia. What is the meaning of moment of inertia? That I am asking, my friend. Okay, so tell me, what is the meaning of moment of inertia? Let's say we have a circle. Okay, and we want to calculate moment of inertia about this axis. Okay, let's say we want to calculate moment of inertia about this axis. So what is the meaning of moment of inertia, my friend? Moment of inertia is also known as second moment of area, or area into distance square. Okay, so what is moment of inertia, my friend? It will tell you how much distance is there for the area, whether the area is at a very large distance or whether the area is very close to the axis. Moment of inertia will be more if the area is at a larger distance, and it will be less if the area is close to the axis. Okay, for example, let's say you have a hollow circle. Okay, let's say you have a hollow circle. In both these cases, let's say area is equal. Okay, area of this circle is also A, area of this circle is also A. What is moment of inertia? Area into distance square. It is the second moment of area, right? Means if the area is close to axis, moment of inertia will be less, and if area is away from axis, look at this, my friend. In this case, this area is away from the axis, means area into distance square. Distance is more in this case. In both cases area is same, but here distance is less and here distance is more. So which will have a greater moment of inertia? This will have a greater moment of inertia, my friend. So do you understand what is moment of inertia? What is the physical meaning of moment of inertia? It is the distance of area from a particular axis. Okay, it is the distance of area. That's why I section has maximum moment of inertia about this axis. Why? Look at this. Area here is at a very greater distance from axis. Area is away from the axis. So that's why moment of inertia of I section is maximum about this axis. So do you understand? Do you understand this concept, my friend? The concept of moment of inertia. Now, what is polar moment of inertia? We understood what is moment of inertia. What is polar moment of inertia, my friend? See, you can calculate moment of inertia about any axis. There are three axes, my friend. Here there are three axes. Let's say this is x axis. Let's say this is y axis. Okay, and there is a normal axis. Okay, let's say this is the normal axis z. Okay, so x axis, y axis, z axis. Do you understand this? x-axis and y-axis are parallel to this area. Okay, if this is the area, x-axis and y-axis, x and y are parallel, and z-axis is normal, my friend. Okay, this z-axis is normal. This is the z-axis which is perpendicular to the area. So J is nothing but moment of inertia about the normal axis. J is nothing but moment of inertia about normal axis, and it is given by Ix plus Iy. Okay, J is moment of inertia about this z axis which is the perpendicular axis, and it is given by Ix plus Iy. Now for a circle, what will be Ix, my friend? Pi by 64d to the power 4. Iy will be same, pi by 64d to the power 4. So what is J for solid circle, my friend? Pi by 32 d to the power 4. So do you understand what is polar moment of inertia, my friend? Polar moment of inertia is also moment of inertia, but it is about normal axis. In case of bending, we calculate moment of inertia about parallel axis. In case of torsion, we are applying torque about normal axis. So here also the moment of inertia is about normal axis. So polar moment of inertia is moment of inertia about normal axis, my friend. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Very good, my friend. Very good. All right. All right. Now we have understood T, J, tau, R. What is G, my friend? G is modulus of rigidity, which is given in gigapascal. We have already seen it is material property. What is L, my friend? Length of shaft. Now what is theta, my friend? It is the angle of twist, my friends. Angle of twist, and it is given in radians. This is very important, my friend. This is very important. The unit of theta is radians. Okay. So in some cases you will have to calculate theta in degrees, but from this equation you will get theta in radians. So you can convert it into degrees. Now let's understand how theta is calculated. Let's understand something about theta. So let's say we have a shaft which is fixed at this end, and I am applying torque about this end. Okay, I am applying torque about this end. Okay, so how theta will be calculated, my friend? Theta is calculated from this relation, T by J equals to G theta by L. Okay, so from here what you will get? Theta will be equal to TL by GJ. Now look at this, TGJ, TGJ, TGJ for every plane will be same. TGJ for every plane will be same, but this L will be different. Let's say this is A, let's say this is B, let's say this is C, D, E. So if you calculate theta at E point, if you calculate theta at E point, you will consider the length from this fixed axis, from this fixed plane to E plane. Okay, you will only consider this much length. If you calculate theta at point D, you will consider this much length. If you calculate theta at point C, you will consider this much length. So where the length will be maximum, my friend? Length will be maximum at point A. From A to B, you have to consider this entire length. So theta will be maximum at this end, my friend. Okay, you have to calculate theta from a fixed point to this point. If you are calculating theta at point A, what are you calculating? How much this plane is getting twisted about this plane. This is your frame of reference. This is your reference plane, because this is a fixed plane. Okay, so this is a fixed plane and this plane is rotating, this plane is twisting. So you want to calculate how much this plane is getting twisted about this plane. Okay, this plane is twisted about this plane. This is your frame of reference. So you will consider the length from this plane to this plane. Okay, so theta will be maximum at this end. This end is fixed, so theta will be maximum at this end. Okay, so usually we need to calculate theta at the free end of the shaft. In every problem we calculate theta at the free end, because here theta will be maximum. At this plane, theta will be less, because the length of shaft will be less. Okay, for this plane length of the shaft will be only this much, for this plane it will be only this much. Okay, so do you understand about theta? All right, my friend. Now let's talk about tau. Let's talk about tau, because we need to calculate, in most problem we need to calculate tau. Okay, so we have two types of shafts, my friend. We have two types of shafts, solid circular shaft and hollow circular shaft. Okay, let's say we have a solid circular shaft. Okay, let's say we have a solid circular shaft. Okay, this is a solid circular shaft where you will get tau maximum, my friend. You will get tau maximum at the outer surface. Okay, let's say the radius is r, or let's say diameter is d. So this will be d by 2. Okay, what is your equation, my friend? T by j equals to tau by r. But we need tau maximum, so r will also be maximum, right? Now put the value of j here. What will be j for solid circle? Just now I told you j will be pi by 32 d to the power 4. What will be r maximum, my friend? D by 2. So what will be tau maximum from here, my friend? From here you will get tau maximum equals to d by 2, put here. So it will become 16t by pi d cube. Remember this equation, my friend. You will use this equation in order to calculate tau maximum. 16t divided by pi d cube, where t will be the torque and d will be the diameter, my friend. Okay. Now, for hollow circular shaft, let's say we have a hollow circular shaft. Okay, where the inner diameter is di and the outer diameter is, let's say, do. Okay, outer diameter is do. Do is outer dia and di is inner dia. Okay, in this case, if you use this equation, what you will get, my friend? T by j equals to tau max by r max. What will be j, my friend? J will be pi by 32 d outer to the power 4 minus d inner to the power 4 equals to tau max divided by, what will be r max, my friend? R max means from center to surface distance. Okay, maximum distance from center to surface. What will be this distance? D outer by 2. This distance will be d outer by 2. So what will you get by solving this equation? Now, my friend, I am telling you a very important concept. What you have to do is, you can write it like this: d outer to the power 4 1 minus k to the power 4. Okay, j can be written like this: d outer to the power 4. If you take common, what you will get? 1 minus d inner by d outer whole to the power 4. D inner by d outer can be considered as a constant k. D inner by d outer can be considered k. So I can write j like this: pi by 32 d outer to the power 4 1 minus k to the power 4. So from here, what will you get, my friend? Tau maximum, what will you get? 16t by pi d outer cube. Let me write it. Tau maximum will be equals to 16t by pi d outer cube 1 minus k to the power 4. This is tau maximum in case of hollow circular shaft, my friend. Okay, so for solid circular shaft it is 16t by pi d cube, and for hollow circular shaft it is 16t by pi d outer cube 1 minus k to the power 4. So this is the formula of tau maximum, and for theta, what is our formula? TL by G into J. So these are the two important things that we calculate in case of shafts, my friend. Okay, in case of solid shaft or in case of hollow shaft, you need to calculate these two things: tau maximum and theta. Okay, so we will solve a few problems based on these equations. Okay, we will solve a few problems based on these equations, and then after that we will see a few more concepts related to shaft. Okay, after that we will see a few more concepts related to torsion in circular shaft. Okay, so let's see some numericals based on these equations. Okay, so we will directly solve numericals of gate. Okay, we will directly solve numericals of gate. So first numerical that I am going to solve is from gate 2017. Okay, this is a recent example. Gate 2017, my friend. So what is the example, my friend? What is the question? A motor driving a solid circular shaft transmits 40 kilowatt power. Okay, this is from gate 2017. Okay, this is from gate 2017. What is the question? We have a motor driving a solid circular shaft transmitting 40 kilowatt power. Power is given 40 kilowatt. Okay. Then RPM is given 500. We have RPM 500 RPM. Then if the diameter of the shaft is 40 mm, calculate the maximum shear stress. Diameter of shaft is 40 mm, and what we need to calculate, my friend? Tau maximum. Very simple question, my friend. Very simple question. Okay. We have to just use the equation tau maximum equals to 16T by pi d cube. This is the equation of tau maximum for solid circular shaft. Now, we have to first find out the torque. We have the power and RPM. We have to calculate the torque. So, what is the relation between power, RPM and torque, my friend? This is the relation. P equals to 2 pi Nt by 60. Put the power here. So, 40 kilowatt means 40 into 10 to the power 3 equals to 2 pi. What is the RPM, my friend? 500 into T divided by 60. So, from here, you will get the torque. Okay. So, how much torque will you get from here? How much torque will you get from here? Solve this and find out what will be the torque. What will be the torque, my friend? P equals to 2 pi Nt by 60. Power is 40 into 10 to the power 3. RPM is 500. So, how much torque will you get? 763.94 Newton meter. Okay. What will be the unit of torque? SI unit is Newton meter. Okay. So, 763.94. Put it in this equation, my friend. Put it in this equation, 16T by pi t cube. Okay. Now, diameter is in mm. So, we will put torque also in mm. We will get tau in Newton per mm square or megapascal. Okay. So, we have to convert torque into Newton mm. So, 763.94 into 10 to the power 3. This will be Newton mm. Okay. From Newton meter, I have converted it into Newton mm divided by pi d cube. So, how much will you get? Tau maximum. How much tau maximum will you get, my friend? Tell me the answer, my friend. How much tau maximum will you get? If you solve this equation, how much tau maximum will you get? 16T by pi d cube. You will get 60.8 megapascal. Okay. You will get 60.8 megapascal on the outer surface. So, at every point on the outer surface, the value of tau will be 60.8 megapascal, my friend. Okay. All right, my friend. All right. Now, next question is also from GATE. It is from GATE 2015, my friend. Okay. It is from GATE 2015. Next question that I will consider is from GATE 2015. Okay. I am directly solving problems of GATE so that you will have an idea of what type of problems you can expect from any topic. Okay. You have to know what type of questions are asked from every topic. Okay. So, that's why I directly take examples of GATE. Okay. In order to explain any concept. Now, this question is from GATE 2015. I will first read the question, my friend. A hollow shaft of 1 meter length. A hollow shaft of 1 meter length means length is given 1 meter is designed to transfer power of 30 kilowatt at 700 RPM. Okay. It is designed to transfer 30 kilowatt at 700 RPM. Okay. So, power and RPM is also given. Maximum permissible angle of twist in shaft is 1 degree. Okay. So, theta has a limit of 1 degree. Theta should not cross 1 degree, my friend. Inner diameter of shaft is 0.7 times of outer diameter. Inner diameter means DI is 0.7 times of outer diameter. This is given, and modulus of rigidity is given 80 gigapascal. G is 80 gigapascal, and they are asking us to calculate outside diameter of the shaft. We need to calculate what? Outside diameter of the shaft. Okay. So, this is the question, my friend. Please note down the question and try to solve this using the torsion equation, my friend. Okay. Using the torsion equation. Okay. So, we have this equation. What we have? We have this value of theta. Theta should not cross 1 degree. Okay. And we have to calculate what? Outer diameter. Okay. So what we will use, which equation we will use? Theta equals to TL by G into J. We will use this equation. Here we have the limit of theta. Theta maximum should be 1 degree. L is given, G is given. We will use the equation of J and we will get D outer. But for that, we need to first find torque. For that, we have power and RPM. So calculate what will be the value of torque, my friend. P equals to 2 pi nt by 60. So what is the power, my friend? 30 kilowatt, means 30 into 10 to the power 3. What is the RPM, my friend? RPM is 700. So from here we will get the torque. So tell me what is the value of torque. Tell me what is the value of torque. Torque you must be getting 409.25 Newton meter. 409.25 Newton meter. Are you getting this? Very good. If you are getting this, hit the like button. If you are getting all these concepts, hit the like button, my friend, right now. Okay, this is your attendance. Mark your attendance, my friend. Hit the like button. Now use this equation to calculate the outer. So put all the values in this. Now theta is given in degree. We have to convert it into radian. In this equation, theta must be in radians, my friend. Okay. So how will we convert degree into radian? By multiplying pi by 180. Okay. So theta will be 1 into pi by 180. What is torque? 409.25 Newton meter. So we will convert it into Newton mm. Okay. Into length. What is length? 1 meter. Means 1000 mm. Divided by G, 80 into 10 to the power 3 megapascal. I converted gigapascal into megapascal. Divided by J. So what will be J, my friend? Pi by 32 D outer to the power 4 1 minus K to the power 4. Okay, this is the equation of J. I told you. Take D outer to the power 4 common. You will get pi by 32 D outer to the power 4 1 minus K to the power 4. What is K? Di by D outer. Di by D outer. It will be 0.7. So this will be your J. Okay. So if you solve this equation, what will you get, my friend? What will you get? D outer you will get equal to D outer equal to 44.5 mm. 44.5 mm. This is your outer diameter, required outer diameter, my friends. Outer diameter should be at least this much, 44.5 mm, my friend. Okay. So do you understand? Do you understand how we can calculate the diameter, my friend? Using permissible value of theta. Using permissible value of theta, how we can calculate the value of diameter. Okay. All right, my friend. So these are the examples based on torsion equation. Now I will solve one more very interesting problem, my friend. This is also from GATE, but this problem is very interesting. It is not a very direct problem. Here you have to use your brain. Okay, it is not a direct formula based question. Okay, you have to use your brain. Okay, so what do we have, my friend? What do we have, my friend? We have a rigid horizontal rod fixed to a circular cylinder. Let's say this is the diagram. Okay, this is the diagram. We have a rigid horizontal rod fixed to a circular cylinder, my friend. Okay, this is a circular cylinder. This is a circular cylinder, and we have a rigid rod. This is the rigid rod. Okay, this is the rigid rod, and it is fixed to the cylinder. So do you understand this arrangement, my friend? This is a rigid rod, means it will not bend. Okay, it will rotate, but it will not bend. Okay, it will not become like this. It will remain straight. Okay, so this is a rigid rod, and it is connected to a circular cylinder like this, and we are applying vertical forces on this rod like this, P, and this P. This is point A, this is point B. Okay, so do you understand the arrangement? We have a rod attached to this cylinder, and we are applying forces on the rod like this. Okay, the length and the radius is given. The length and the radius is given. So this length of cylinder is L. This length is L. This length is L. This length is also L, and the radius is R, means this is 2R. Diameter is 2R, radius is R. So do you understand the dimension, my friend? Length of cylinder is L. From center to A, distance is L. From center to B, distance is L. And diameter of cylinder is 2R or radius is R. Okay. Now we need to calculate the vertical deflection of point A. Okay. This you need to calculate. Find vertical deflection of point A. Okay. So this is the arrangement that is given, and you need to calculate vertical deflection of point A. Note this down, my friend, and we will start with the solution. Okay, this is a very interesting question, my friend. Very interesting question. Note this down, and then we will start with the solution. Okay. Now, first what you need to do is draw the cross-sectional view. Then only you will be able to understand the question properly. Okay. Draw the cross-sectional view, and then you will understand the question properly. Okay, so this is the center, this is point A, this is point B. Okay, we have forces acting like this. Okay, what is this force? Force P. Okay, what they are asking you to calculate vertical deflection of A. How much A will vertically move? Okay, from initial position to final position, what will be the vertical deflection? Now, first you need to understand this loading condition. This P and this P are parallelly acting equal and opposite. So they both will form a couple. Okay, they both will form a couple which will act like this. What will be the value of couple, my friend? Force is P and distance between the forces. This distance is how much? This total distance will be 2L. Okay, this distance is L, this distance is L, so total distance 2L. So what will be the moment, my friend? 2PL. And this moment will be bending or twisting, my friend. I told you what is bending moment and what is twisting moment. Bending moment acts about parallel axis and twisting moment acts about normal axis. So this moment is acting about this axis, and what is this axis? Normal axis. So this is a twisting moment, my friend. This is a torque, 2PL. And due to this torque, what will happen? This cross section will be twisted. But this rod is rigid, so it will remain straight, my friend. It will be twisted, but it will remain straight because the rod is rigid. So AB will reach to A dash B dash. Now what do we need to calculate? We need to calculate this distance, my friend. YA, deflection of point A. And how we can calculate YA? Using this angle, theta. What is theta, my friend? Angle of twist. So in order to calculate YA, you can use this triangle. So first you need to calculate theta. So what will be theta, my friend? TL by G into J, right? Very easily you can calculate theta. What is torque? 2PL, length L, G is G, and J will be pi by 2 R to the power 4. In terms of radius, we have to calculate. We have to calculate it in terms of radius. So in terms of radius, this will become J, pi by 2 R to the power 4. So what will you get? Theta will be equal to how much? 4PL square divided by pi R to the power 4 G, right? This is theta. Now look at this triangle, my friend. Look at this triangle. Look at this triangle. Look at this triangle. Look at this triangle. In this triangle, I can write it like this. Tan theta will be equal to YA divided by what will be this base? L. Okay, and it will be almost equal to theta because theta is very small. What is assumption in strength of material? I told you in strength of material we always assume that deformations are very small. Okay, this makes our solution very easy. So from here, what will you get? YA will be equal to theta into L. YA will be equal to directly theta into L, and your theta is 4PL square by pi R to the power 4G. Multiply L. What will you get? 4P L cube by pi R to the power 4G. This is your YA, my friend. This is your YA. So what is YA? YA will become theta into L. Okay, from this triangle, YA will become theta into L, and theta is 4PL square by 5 to R to the power 4G. Multiply L, you will get YA equals to 4PL cube by pi R to the power 4G. Very interesting question, my friend. This was a very interesting question, and this was asked in GATE 2016. This is a question from GATE 2016, my friend. So very important question. Do you understand this concept, my friend? Very good, very good. Now we will see another very interesting concept. Next topic, another very interesting topic, shafts connected in series. Okay, we will see shafts connected in series. Okay, so first I will explain the concept behind it, and then we will solve some problems. Okay, and this is a very important topic because a lot of numericals are from series connection. Okay, shafts connected in series. Okay, so let's say we have this arrangement. Let's say we have this arrangement. Let's say we have this arrangement. Okay, let's say we have this arrangement. Okay, let's say this is point A, B, C, D. Okay, this type of shaft is known as stepped shaft. Okay, this is known as a stepped shaft because the diameter of every part is different. So it is like steps. Okay, it is made in steps. Okay, so this is known as stepped shaft. Okay, now let's say this stepped shaft is connected to different torques at different points. Okay, it is connected to different torques at different point. Let's say this is 100 Newton meter. Okay, let's say this is 130 Newton meter. Let's say this is 150 Newton meter. Okay, so these are different torques acting at different point. I am just taking an example in order to explain every concept using this. Okay, now you can consider this shaft as three different shafts connected in series, my friend. AB, BC and CD. We have three different shafts connected in series, my friend. Okay, AB, BC, CD. We have three different shafts connected in series, my friend. Okay, so this is a series connection. In this problem, let's say our objective is to find theta A. Okay, what do you need to calculate? Theta A. Okay, so in order to calculate theta A, what you will do, my friend? Here you cannot directly use this equation TL by GJ. Why? Because in this case the J of different shafts are different, torque of different shaft is also different. So we cannot directly use this equation theta equals to TL by GJ. Okay, so what we are going to do in this case, in order to calculate theta A, we will divide this shaft into three parts A, B, B, C, C, D. We will calculate theta of every part and then we will add them. Theta AB plus theta BC plus theta CD. Now what will be the equation of theta? TL by GJ. So I can write TL by GJ of AB plus TL by GJ of BC plus TL by GJ of CD. I can write it like this, right? I can write it like this. Now my friend, in this problem, they will give you L, they will give you G, they will give you J. But we don't know what is the torque in AB, torque in BC, torque in CD. This is very important, my friend. We don't have the internal torque of AB, BC and CD. What do you have here, my friend? This diagram is external torque. This is showing external torque. These three torques are external torque. And what are these T? These T are internal torque. So now we have to calculate the internal torque. Now the real concept starts. Okay, and this is a very important concept, calculating internal torque, my friend. Okay, in these type of problems we have to calculate internal torque using this. Okay, now in order to explain this, let me calculate the reaction also, although you don't need reaction at this point, but let me calculate it. Okay, this is a support, so you will get a reaction torque here. How much reaction torque will you get? Total torque should be 0, net torque should be 0 for equilibrium. 100 and 150 acting like this, 130, so this will be how much? 120. Now net torque is 0. This is 100 plus 150, 250, 130 plus 120, 250 and opposite side. So net torque is 0. Okay, equilibrium should be maintained. Now what do we need? We need the internal torque of AB, right? We need the internal torque of AB. Okay, in order to calculate theta A, we need internal torque of AB. So how will you calculate the internal torque, my friend? See, calculating internal force or internal moment, I told you the same concept we will use. In order to calculate internal torque in AB, I will consider a plane between A and B and I will calculate the total torque either from left or from right, my friend. Okay. So what will be the total torque from left, my friend? There is only one torque on the left of this plane. How much? 100 Newton meter. Okay. Right. Now in order to calculate torque from right, it will be 130 plus 120, 250 minus 150, 100. Now there is a very important concept that I want to tell you, my friend. If you want to calculate torque from left, you will take 100 positive, right? This is just a sign convention, you are taking 100 positive. Then from right, which one will be positive? 150 will be positive or 130 will be positive? 150 or 130, which one will be positive? This is a very confusing thing. So that's why you need to understand how you calculate torque from left or from right. Okay, what will be the sign convention? So consider this sign convention. I will tell you the sign convention, and this is not a universal sign convention. You can use opposite sign convention also. Okay, so if you are calculating torque from left, then consider this to be positive, this to be negative, and if you are calculating torque from right, then consider this to be positive and this to be negative. Okay, so as consider this plane. If you calculate torque from left, 100 will be positive. If you calculate torque from right, then which one will be positive? From right, this is positive, and this is negative. 130 and 120 will be positive, 150 will be negative. So it will become 130 plus 120, 250 minus 150, 100, my friend. Okay. Similarly, calculate torque in BC, my friend. So I will consider a plane between B and C. Okay. You can calculate torque from left or you can calculate torque from right. You have to just use sign convention, otherwise your sign will be different. From left you will get different sign, from right you will get different sign. Okay. So just because of this we are using a sign convention so that we can get same sign from left and right. Okay. So from left, what will you get? 100 positive, 130 negative. Okay, 100 positive, 130 negative. So minus 30. From left it will be 100 minus 130 minus 30. Right? From right if you calculate, then you should get same sign, minus 30. Okay. So from right, which one will you take positive? You will take positive this. If from left, if this is positive, then the opposite of this will be positive from right. Look at this. If this is positive from left, then the opposite of it is positive from right. So if 100 is positive from left, then 120 will be positive from right. So 120 minus 150, you will get minus 30. Okay. So remember this. You have to consider the sign convention if you are calculating some torque from left and some torque from right. Okay. Now, calculate torque in CD. So in CD, if you want to calculate torque, you can calculate it from right very easily. What will be the torque from right? This is what? Positive or negative? Positive. So it will be plus 120. Okay. So this is torque in AB, torque in BC, torque in CD. Do you understand it, my friend? Now, if you are calculating some torque from left and some torque from right, then only you need sign convention. Otherwise, if you calculate everything from left or everything from right. If you are only making calculation from one side, then you don't need sign convention. Okay, so don't get confused, my friend. Don't worry too much about the sign convention. I told you the sign convention so that you never make a mistake. I told you that you should understand every concept. Okay, so some people ignore this concept, sign convention, and then in some problem they make a mistake. Okay, what mistake will they make? When they will use this, when they will calculate the torque in CD, some people will put minus 120. So entire solution will become wrong. Okay, so in order to have correct sign of internal torque, you have to use sign convention. Okay, but you will need sign convention only if you are calculating some torque from left and some torque from right. If you are calculating everything from one side, every torque from left, then you don't need sign convention. Okay, so do you understand this? We will solve some example and then we will understand it better. Okay, so let's solve one very good example. Let's solve one example and then you will understand it better. Let's solve an example based on shaft connected in series. You get very easy questions from shaft. Okay, you get very easy question from torsion. So don't worry too much about numericals. Okay, that's why I'm not solving too many numericals. From beams you get very good examples, you get very good question. So that's why I solved a lot of problems in case of beams. But in case of shaft you get very easy numericals. That's why we are only seeing one or two examples. Okay, that's it. Okay, all right. So we will solve one very good example. But before solving this example, if you have still not liked this video, my friend, please hit the like button right now, my friend. This is just an encouragement for me. Okay, understand it. I have to be encouraged. Okay, that's how I keep on going. Okay, that's how I will be keep on going. Okay, and please don't forget to share these video to as many students as possible, because remember, sharing is caring, my friend. Okay, it is a very noble cause. Sharing the knowledge is a very noble cause. Okay, so sharing is caring. Please remember this. Okay, now solve this example, my friend. Solve this example. We have a stepped shaft. We have a stepped shaft. This is a stepped shaft. Okay, length of every part is equal. Okay, we have these values, G into J. This is 2G into J. This is 3G into J. Now what is G into J, my friend? Let's talk about this. What is G into J? This is known as torsional rigidity. I told you E into A is axial rigidity, E into I is flexural rigidity, and G into J is torsional rigidity. And what is torsional rigidity? What is rigidity, my friend? Deformation is inversely proportional to rigidity. So if rigidity is more, deformation will be less. Okay, what is deformation in case of torsion? Theta. So if GJ is more, theta will be less. Look at this equation, theta equals to TL by GJ, right? So if GJ is more, theta is less. So do you understand this concept, rigidity? So there are different types of rigidity. In case of torsion, we have torsional rigidity. In case of beams, in case of bending, we have flexural rigidity. In case of axial load, we have axial rigidity. Okay, and there is another term called stiffness. So GJ by L or T by theta is known as torsional stiffness. Both are almost same thing. Both are almost same thing. Okay, so note it down. Note it down somewhere. Okay, torsional rigidity is G into J and torsional stiffness is G into J by L, or you can also call T by theta. Okay, both are one and the same thing. Okay, so this is torsional rigidity. So look at this. Torsional rigidities are different for different parts. Okay, and these parts are subjected to different torques. These parts are subjected to different torques. So here there is 2T, then there is 5T, then there is 10T. Okay, and what do you need to calculate? You need to calculate theta A. Okay, so please solve this problem and calculate theta A. I want you to solve this problem on your own and calculate theta A, my friend. Okay, I want you to solve this problem, calculate theta A. What you will do first? what you will do first, my friend? What you will do first? You will first calculate what will be the internal torque of every part. Okay, first you have to calculate the internal torque of every part. Once you get internal torque of every part, then you can easily calculate theta A. You just have to put everything in the formula and you will easily get theta A. So calculate what will be internal torque of every part. Calculate what will be internal torque of every part. Calculate the internal torque. Calculate the internal torque of every part, my friend. Okay, I told you how to calculate internal torque, right? How to calculate internal torque. So what will be the internal torque in AB? What will be the internal torque in AB? Tell me what will be the internal torque in AB. What you will do? Consider a plane between A and B. Then from left or from right you can calculate. Okay, now on the right side there will be a reaction, okay, which you can easily calculate, but you don't need to do that. Calculate it from left. Calculate it from left. We will calculate every torque from left. So we don't need sign convention also. Here we don't need sign convention because we will calculate everything from left. Okay, so let's see. Let's say this is positive, this will be negative, this will be positive. Why? Because we are calculating everything from left. Okay, now what will be the internal torque from left? 2T. In AB it will be 2T. In BC, consider a plane between B and C. Okay, from left, what is this? Plus 2T and minus 5T, right? Plus 2T and minus 5T. So what will be internal torque in BC? Minus 3T. Then CD, my friend. Then CD. Consider this plane. Consider this plane. Okay. What will be the internal torque from left, my friend? 2T minus 5T plus 10T. 2T minus 5T plus 10T. So how much will you get, my friend? 70. Okay. So in AB it is 2T, in BC minus 3T, in CD it is 70. Do you understand this? Very good, my friend. Do you understand? If you understand, very good. If you don't understand, look at this. What you need to do? Consider a plane, calculate total torque from left. Consider a plane, calculate total torque from left. Consider a plane, calculate total torque from left. And if you are calculating everything from left, I am not calculating anything from right, then you don't even need the sign convention. Okay, just consider this to be positive, this will become positive, this will become negative. Very easy. Okay, you need sign convention when you are calculating one torque from left and another torque from right. Okay, all right. Now just put these values in the equation. What will be theta A, my friend? It will be theta AB plus theta BC plus theta CD, my friend. Okay, so what will be theta? TL by GJ. What is the equation of theta? TL by G into J. So what is torque of AB? 2T. What is length? L. And what is flexural rigidity? Torsional rigidity in AB? GJ. Then what is torque in BC? Minus 3T. So this will be minus 3T. Length is L. And what is rigidity, my friend? 2GJ. Then what is torque in CD, my friend? 70. Length is L. And what is rigidity? 3GJ. Okay. So this is the equation of theta A. Now calculate. What will you get, my friend? TL by GJ will be common. What will you get? 2 minus 3 by 2 plus 7 by 3. You will get this equation, my friend. 2 minus 3 by 2 plus 7 by 3. So calculate it. 2 minus 3 by 2 means 1.5 plus 7 by 3. So what you are getting? My friend? 17 by 6. You will get this 17 TL by 6 GJ. 17 TL by 6 GJ. 17 TL by 6 GJ. So the angle of twist at A is 17 TL by 6 GJ. Okay, very easily I have calculated angle of twist at A. Now my friend, in the same problem, if I ask you to calculate theta B, then what will it be? Will you calculate theta AB? Will you calculate theta BC? What will you calculate, my friend? Tell me. I told you, angle of twist of any plane has to be calculated from a fixed frame of reference. Okay, So which one is the fixed plane? D. So if you want to calculate theta B, what will you calculate, my friend? Theta B will be equal to theta BC plus theta CD. You have to calculate angle of twist from B to D because D is a fixed plane. So you have to calculate angle of twist from B to D. If you want to calculate theta C, then which one will it be? AC or CD? From fixed plane you have to calculate. So it will be theta CD. So do you understand angle of twist, my friend? If you want to calculate angle of twist at A, then you have to calculate angle of twist from here to D because D is the fixed plane. Okay. So this is your reference plane. From this reference, how much this is twisting, that you are calculating. Okay. So this is the angle of twist in shaft connected in series. You will get very simple problems based on this. Very simple problem. Okay. Very simple problems. All right. Now, a very important topic related to this series connection. Okay. Very important topic I will talk about. A very important topic. Let's talk about statically indeterminate shaft, which is another very important topic as far as the exams are concerned. You will see a lot of numerical based on statically indeterminate shaft also. Okay, you will see a lot of examples, a lot of previous year questions based on this concept, statically indeterminate shaft. We have seen statically indeterminate bars, we have seen statically indeterminate beams. Now we will see statically indeterminate shaft. Okay, so what will be a statically indeterminate shaft? Let's say we have a shaft, okay, which is fixed at both the ends. Let's say we have a shaft which is fixed at both the ends and I am applying a torque here. Okay, let's say this is A, this is B, this is C. Okay, do you understand this problem, my friend? Do you understand this problem? I am applying a torque at point B and at point A and C, this shaft is fixed. Okay, now if I ask you what is the internal torque in AB or what is the internal torque in BC, what do you need, my friend? You need the total torque either from left or from right. Right now there is a support at A and C. So what we will do? We will remove the support, and if you remove the support, what you have to apply? Reaction. Okay, so we are drawing free body diagram. Okay, we are removing the support and we will apply reactions. Okay, so there is a torque at point B, T. Okay, now we don't know what will be the direction of these reactions. Okay, we don't know what will be the direction of these reactions, but you don't even have to know. You can assume any direction. Let's assume TA is like this. Let's assume TC is like this. Okay, you can assume any direction if your answer is positive, means your assumption is right. If your answer is negative, let's say you are calculating TA, you are getting positive answer, means your assumption is right. If you are getting negative answer, means your assumption is wrong. So don't worry about the direction of TA and TC. Assume any direction. Assume any direction. In order to solve this problem, assume any direction. Okay, so I have assumed this direction for TA, this direction for TC. Okay, now in order to calculate internal torque in AB or BC, you need the values of TA and TC. Okay, you need to calculate TA and TC. Now, how many unknowns do we have? Two unknowns, right? TA and TC. And how many equilibrium equation do we have? How many equilibrium equation do we have? Equilibrium equations total are 3. Summation of fx equals to 0, summation of fy equals to 0, summation of m equals to 0. Now on this body there is no force. So summation of fx is already 0, summation of fy is already 0. What equation do we have right now? Summation of m equals to 0. These three are moment. They are twisting moment, okay? But they are moments. So summation of m equals to 0. This is the only equilibrium equation that we have. Now apply the equilibrium equation. What you will get, my friend? TA will be equal to T plus TC. This will be your equilibrium equation. TA equals to T plus TC. Now my friend, we have two unknowns and only one equilibrium equation. These type of problems where the number of unknowns are greater than equilibrium equation, what do we call them, my friend? What do we call problems where number of unknowns are greater than equilibrium equation? We call them statically indeterminate problem. We call them statically indeterminate problem. So this is a statically indeterminate problem, my friend, because we have two unknowns, TA and TC, and only one equilibrium equation. So what do we need, my friend? I told you we have seen a lot of indeterminate problems. How do we solve indeterminate problems? By using compatibility equation. And what is compatibility equation, my friend? What is compatibility equation? We have seen so many times. What is compatibility equation? Compatibility equation means equation of constraint of deformation. In indeterminate problems, the deformation is constraint. So if you write the equation of that constraint, it becomes compatibility equation. So how the deformation is constrained here? Look at this, my friend. If you fix A as well as C, what will be the angle of twist from A to C? What will be this total angle of twist? It will be 0. This is your compatibility equation. Theta AC is equal to 0. Now, from A to C, you can divide this shaft into two parts. You can assume that it is a series connection. AB and BC, they are connected like in series. So if you want to calculate theta AC, you can calculate it like this: theta AB plus theta BC, right? I can write it like theta AB plus theta BC. Now what will be theta AB? TL by GJ. What is T in AB? Tell me the torque in AB. Tell me what will be the internal torque in AB. From left it will be TA, from right it will be T plus TC. You can write anything, okay? So you can, let's write it TA into length of AB divided by G of AB into J of AB. Okay, TL by GJ. Now, in BC, what will be the torque? What will be the torque? From left, it will be TA minus T. Right? From left, it will be TA minus T. From right, will it be plus TC or minus TC? This is where you will need sign convention, my friend. This is where you will need sign convention. I told you that you don't need sign convention every time, but in some problem you might need sign convention where you are calculating one torque from left and another torque from right. If you don't use sign convention, proper sign convention, then your answer will be wrong. So if you are calculating the torque from right, will you write plus TC or minus TC? Tell me, will you write plus TC or minus TC? See, from left I am assuming TA to be positive, right? Then from right, the opposite of this will be positive. From left, if this is positive, then from right, this one will be positive. So you will write it like this: plus TC into L of BC by G of BC into J of BC, and this will be equal to 0. You can also write torque in BC as TA minus T. You can also write torque in BC from left, TA minus T, because TA minus T is equal to TC. Okay, so you can write it TC or you can write it TA minus T. So do you understand it? Now we have two equations. This is your second equation. So we have one equation from equilibrium and one equation from compatibility. By solving these two equations, we can find TA and we can find TC. Alright? And if you are getting positive value, means your assumption is right. If you are getting negative value, means your assumption is wrong. So do you understand statically indeterminate shaft? You will have a lot of questions in your previous year question workbook. You will see a lot of questions from this concept, statically indeterminate shaft, where the shaft is fixed at both the ends and you have to calculate these reactions. Okay, so you will need two equations, equilibrium and compatibility, my friend. Okay, all right, let's solve an example from this concept. Okay, let's solve an example from this concept. Okay, I will take one example to explain this concept. So let's say you have a stepped shaft. Okay, let's say you have a stepped shaft fixed at both the ends. Okay, I have fixed both the ends A, B, C. Okay, let's say I am applying a torque T here. Okay, let's say I am applying a torque T here. You need to calculate TA and TC. Okay, length and torsional rigidity is given. Let's say the length of AB is L, length of BC is 2L, torsional rigidity of AB is GJ, torsional rigidity of BC is 3GJ. Okay, calculate what will be TA and TC. Calculate what will be TA and TC. Okay, calculate what will be TA and TC. I told you the concept. Now give me the answer. What will be TA and what will be TC? Give me the answer, my friend. Give me the answer. You have 2 minutes to solve this problem. Solve this problem quickly. And this is a very important concept. Okay. So you have to solve this question. This is a very important concept. Calculate what will be the value of TA and TC, my friend. Calculate what will be the value of TA and TC. Tell me what will be the value of TA and TC. Calculate what will be TA and TC. Tell me. Tell me, my friend. We have to first find out why. We have to first assume some directions of TA and TC. Okay. So what we will do? We will remove these supports. Okay. And we will assume some direction for TA and TC. You can assume any direction you want. Okay. You can assume any direction you want. You can assume this direction. You can assume this direction. You can assume the opposite direction also. This is TA and this is TC. Okay. Now what you have to do? You have to write two equations. Equilibrium and compatibility. Okay. So write down equilibrium equation and compatibility equation. So what will be the equilibrium equation, my friend? What will be the equilibrium equation? What will be the equilibrium equation, my friend? What will be the equilibrium equation? Equilibrium equation will be TA equals to T plus TC, right? This will be the equilibrium equation. TA equals to T plus TC. What will be the compatibility equation, my friend? What will be the compatibility equation? Compatibility equation will be theta AC equals to 0, or you can write theta AB plus theta BC equals to 0, right? What will be torque in AB? From left it will be TA. What is the length of AB? L. What is the torsional rigidity? GJ. Right? What will be the torque in BC, my friend? Let's write it from left. Torque in BC, let's write it from left. So from left, torque in BC will be TA minus T. Okay, I will write it from left. TA minus T into, what is the length of BC, my friends? 2L. Divided by, what is the rigidity, my friend? 3GJ equal to 0. Okay. Now solve this equation, my friend. LGJ, take it common. What you will get? TA plus 2TA by 3 minus T by 3 equals to 0. Okay. Multiply the entire equation with 3. So you will get 3TA minus 2TA minus T equals to 0. So what you will get, my friend? What you will get? What you will get? You will get 5TA. Okay, sorry, this will be 2T by 3. Sorry, this will be 2T by 3. So this will be 2T equals to 0. So you will get 5TA equals to 2T. So you will get TA equals to 2T by 5. TA will be equal to 2T by 5. Okay, TA will be equal to 2T by 5. And if TA is 2T by 5, what will be TC, my friend? TC will be TA minus T. What will be TC, my friend? TA minus T. So what will be TC, my friend? If TA is 2T by 5, then TC will be minus 3T by 5. TC will be minus 3T by 5. TC is negative, means your direction of TC is wrong. TC should be like this. TC should be like this. Okay. TA is positive, means my direction of TA is right. But TC is negative, means my direction of TC is wrong, my friend. Okay. So do you understand how you can calculate TA and TC? Very good, my friend. Let me give you one more question. Let me give you one more question. Okay, we will solve one more question from statically indeterminate shaft. I want you to understand it very clearly so that you will not make any mistake in exam. So let me give you one more question. Okay, let's solve this question. Let's say you have a stepped shaft like this. Okay, let's say this is T and this is 2T. Let's say this is L, rigidity GJ. Okay, let's say this is rigidity GJ, this is 2GJ and this is GJ. Okay, A, B, C, D. Tell me what will be the torque at A and torque at D. Tell me the reactions at point A and at point D. Tell me the reactions at point A and at point D. Okay, tell me what will be the reactions at A and reactions at D. Tell me. First, what you have to do? First, you have to assume some direction of TA and TD, then write down the equilibrium equation and then write down the compatibility equation. Okay, first you have to assume some direction for TA and TD, then write down equilibrium equation and compatibility equation. Okay, so let's remove the support. Let's remove the support and let's assume some direction for TA and TD. So let's say this is TA and this is TD. Okay, last time also I assumed the same direction because this has become a habit for me. Okay, you can assume opposite direction also, doesn't matter. Okay, if you want you can try some different directions. Okay, now first you will write equilibrium equation. So what will be the equilibrium equation? What will be the equilibrium equation, my friend? TA is in this direction and 2T is in this direction. So TA plus 2T equals to T plus TD, right? TA plus 2T equals to T plus TD, or you can write TA plus T equals to TD. This is the equilibrium equation. TA plus T equals to TD. This is the equilibrium equation. Now the second equation will be the compatibility equation. So what will be the compatibility equation, my friends? What will be the compatibility equation? What will be the compatibility equation? Theta AB plus theta BC plus theta CD should be equals to 0. Theta AB plus BC plus CD, total theta should be equal to 0. Now you know what will be, how you can calculate the torque in every part, right? So calculate the torque in AB. What you will get? Calculate the torque in AB from left. What you will get? TA. If you calculate the torque in AB from left, you will get TA into length L divided by rigidity GJ. Okay. Calculate the torque in BC from left. Calculate the torque in BC from left. What you will get? TA minus T. So it will become TA minus T into, what is the length? L. What is the rigidity? 2GJ. Rigidity is 2GJ. Then calculate the torque in CD from left. I am calculating everything from left. Okay. So it will be TA plus 2T minus T. TA plus 2T minus T, or you can write TA plus T. Okay. You can calculate it from right also. You can calculate it from right also. It will become TD. Okay. So TA plus T into L divided by GJ, and this will be equal to 0. Okay. Now LGJ common, what you will get? Multiply everything with 2. Multiply everything with 2. What you will get? 2TA plus TA minus T plus 2TA equals to 0. So this will become 5TA equals to T, or you can write TA equals to T by 5. TA will be equals to T by 5, right? TA will be equals to T by 5, and if TA is equals to T by 5, then what will be TD? TD is TA plus T, right? So TD will be equals to how much? T by 5 plus T, so it will be 6T by 5. So TA is T by 5 and TD is 6T by 5. So do you understand how to solve statically indeterminate problems, my friend? Very good if you have understood it. Very good. Okay. And if you have understood all this concept, hit the like button, my friend. Hit the like button. That works like an encouragement for me. Hit the like button. And please don't forget to share these videos to all your friends. Okay. Please don't forget to share all my videos to your friends on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Telegram, wherever you want. You can send the link to them. Okay. Send the link to them and ask them to watch these videos. Okay. Ask them to watch these videos. Maybe someone somewhere will get benefit from my video. Okay. So I want these videos to reach to as many students as possible. Sharing knowledge is a very noble cause, my friend. So please participate in this noble cause by sharing the links of these videos to all your friends. Okay. Remember, sharing is caring, my friend. We have to make this viral. Sharing is caring. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Now, I will tell you a very interesting concept and a very important concept known as polar section modulus. Polar section modulus, which we denote by ZP. I have already told you in case of beams what is section modulus. Here I will tell you what is polar section modulus. Okay. So what is polar section modulus, my friend? See, let's say you have a shaft, okay, and you are applying some torque. Okay. If you keep on increasing this torque, there will be one point where the shaft will break. Okay. If you keep on increasing this torque, there will be one point where the shaft will break. Let's call that maximum value of torque as T allowable. Okay. What is T allowable? This is the maximum torque that you can apply, because after this the shaft will break. Okay. Let's say T allowable is 100 Newton meter. So if you can apply 0 to 100, but you cannot apply more than 100. 100 is the limit of this shaft. This T allowable is known as strength of shaft. Okay, what is this T allowable? It is the strength of shaft. Okay, so let's say we have two shafts. One can only sustain 100 Newton meter. Okay, one breaks at 100 Newton meter, other breaks at 200 Newton meter. So which one is stronger? Which one is stronger? This one is stronger. This number is showing the strength of shaft. This is the allowable value of torque. Means maximum you can apply 200 on this shaft, maximum you can apply 100 on this shaft. So what is this T allowable? This is the strength of shaft. Okay. How strong your shaft is, it shows this number, using this number. Okay. Now, what is polar section modulus? Polar section modulus is the measure of strength of shaft. Polar section modulus is the measure of strength of shaft, or you can say T allowable. Okay. So what does it mean? How much T allowable you will get, how much T allowable you can apply, that depends upon this value, polar section modulus. What is polar section modulus? It is the measure of strength of shaft. Okay, polar section modulus is the measure of strength of shaft, means strength of shaft depends upon polar section modulus. Okay, T allowable depends upon ZP. T allowable depends on ZP. If ZP is more, T allowable is more. Okay. So if you want to know which shaft is stronger, then what you will do? You will compare their ZP. Okay. If you have, let's say, two shafts, one shaft here, one shaft here, you want to see which shaft is stronger. Means which shaft will resist more torque. So what you will compare? You will compare their ZP. The shaft which has greater ZP will have greater T allowable. Okay. So ZP is what? It is the parameter which decides the value of T allowable. Okay. If ZP is more, T allowable is more. Okay. How will you calculate it? What will be ZP, my friend? You will use this equation. T by J equals to tau maximum by R maximum. Okay. So from this equation, you can write T equals to tau maximum into J by R maximum. Okay. Now this tau maximum it is limited. It depends upon the material. Okay, so you can't change this value. It depends upon the material. So for a given material, T will be proportional to J by R max. For any given material, T will be proportional to J by R max. So your torque depends upon this value, J by R max. This is known as polar section modulus, my friend. Okay, J by R max, this value is known as polar section modulus. If this value is more, then T will be more. If this value is more, then you can apply more amount of torque. If this value is less, then you can only apply less amount of torque. Okay, now my friend, we only have to see circular shaft, right? But in case of circular shaft, we have two options. We have solid circle and we have hollow circle. Okay, which one will have greater polar section modulus? Out of these two, which one will have greater polar section modulus? That you have to decide. Okay, logically, tell me logically which one will have greater polar section modulus. Okay, now my friend, ZP is J by R max. Okay, R max of both the cases will not be that different. Okay, R max will be almost same. Major difference is created by this value. Okay, major difference is created by this value. So the cross section which has greater J will have greater ZP. Okay, so you only have to see which one will have more J, means more polar moment of inertia. Now I told you logically what is polar moment of inertia. What is the meaning of polar moment of inertia? Moment of inertia means area into distance square. Okay, means your area should be at a greater distance. So which area is at a greater distance from this axis? This is the axis about which you are applying torque, right? So from this axis, which area is at a greater distance? This one or this one? This one or this one? This area is close to this axis and this area is away from this axis. So this one will have a greater value of J. So this one will have a greater value of ZP and this one will have a greater value of T allowable. So do you understand, my friend? Do you understand logically how you can tell which one is stronger? So which one is stronger, a hollow shaft or a hollow shaft or a solid shaft? Usually what people think, solid shaft should be stronger, but it is the myth. Hollow shaft will be stronger. Why? Because in case of hollow shaft, your J will be more. This area is at a greater distance. Okay, so this J of this area will be more, and if J is more, ZP will be more, and if ZP is more, T allowable will be more. So this will be a stronger section. So do you understand how you can compare a hollow shaft and a solid shaft? Do you understand this? Very good. Now this was just a logical explanation, right? We can numerically also calculate which one will be stronger. Okay, numerically also we can calculate which one will be stronger. Okay, which one will be stronger, we can numerically see. So how we will compare? We will take one example, my friend. Okay, we will take one example, and through that example we will try to understand which one is stronger. So let's say this is just an example. Let's say we have a solid shaft and we have a hollow shaft. Okay, we have a solid shaft and we have a hollow shaft. Let's say solid shaft has diameter D. Okay, what is the diameter of solid shaft? D. Hollow shaft has inner diameter D I. Okay, let's say 0.5 DO and outer diameter DO. Okay, inner diameter is half of outer diameter for this hollow shaft. Okay, now let's say material and area is same for both shafts. Okay, material and area, both the shafts are made of same material, means tau max is same and area of both the shaft is same. You have to calculate T allowable of hollow shaft divided by T allowable of solid shaft. Okay, you have to calculate the ratio of their strength. What is this, my friend? This is known as strength. how much torque you can apply on a shaft. That is the strength of shaft. So T allowable of hollow shaft divided by T allowable of solid shaft. That you have to calculate. Okay. So note this problem, my friend. It is a very interesting concept. Okay. And you will get theory questions from this concept. You will get important questions from this concept. So it is very important to understand this. Okay. So I am trying to explain how hollow shaft is stronger than solid shaft using this example. Okay. So we are considering two cross sections, solid and hollow. Material and area is same. Okay. Material is same. Area of both the shaft is same. And we have to see which one will be stronger. What will be the ratio of their strength. Okay. Now my friend, what will be the ratio of T allowable if the material is same? Material is same means tau maximum is same. So T allowable of solid shaft divided by T allowable of hollow shaft will be equal to Zp of solid, sorry, this is hollow by solid. This is hollow by solid. So Zp of hollow shaft divided by Zp of solid shaft. Tau max will be cancelled. Tau max is same because material is same. So this will be your ratio. Now we have to calculate ratio of Zp. So what will be Zp of hollow shaft, my friend? J by R max, right? What is J? Pi by 32 d outer to the power 4 1 minus k to the power 4 divided by d outer by 2, right? So from here what you will get? Pi by 32, sorry, pi by 16 d outer cube 1 minus k to the power 4. This is what? Zp of hollow shaft. Okay, this is Zp of hollow shaft. And if you calculate Zp of solid shaft using the same formula J by R max, you will get this pi by 16 d cube. This is Zp of solid shaft. You can use this. You can use this J by R max. Put it here. You will get this. So what will be Zp of hollow shaft divided by Zp of solid shaft? What will be? If you divide it, what you will get? D outer by d whole cube 1 minus k to the power 4. You are getting this? Now my friend, we know the value of k. What is k? K is d inner by d outer. Okay, so it is 0.5. In our case, in our example, k is 0.5, but we don't know the value of d outer by d. And how will you get d outer by d, my friend? You will get d outer by d by equating the area. You know that area of both the shaft is same. So area of hollow shaft is equal to area of solid shaft. So this will be pi by 4 d outer square 1 minus k square. Okay, pi by 4 d outer square minus d inner square. I am taking d outer square outside, so it will become this. Okay, how we are getting this? Let me explain if you are getting confused. It is pi by 4 d outer square minus d inner square. Now take d outer square common. So what this will become? What this will become? D outer by d inner. And what is d inner by d outer? And what is d inner by d outer? K. So this becomes pi by 4 d outer square 1 minus k square equals to, this will become pi by 4 d square. Pi by 4 will be cancelled. This will become d outer by d whole square equals to 1 upon 1 minus k, means 0.5 square. So from here you will get d outer by d. Tell me what will be d outer by d. Tell me what will be d outer by d. Solve this and tell me what will be d outer by d. D outer by d whole square is equal to 1 upon 1 minus 0.5 square. So tell me what will be d outer by d. So root over 1 upon 1 minus 0.5 square. So it is 1.154, right? It is 1.154. It is 1.154. D outer is equal to 1.154 d. So d outer by d ratio we have got. Put it here. What will you get? 1.154 whole cube into 1 minus 0.5 whole to the power 4. So what will be Zp of hollow shaft divided by Zp of solid shaft? Tell me the answer, my friend. Tell me the answer. What will you get here? 1.154 whole to the power 4, sorry, whole to the power 3 multiplied by 1 minus 0.5 to the power 4. What you are getting, my friend? 1.44. Are you getting 1.44? Are you getting this value? 1.44. 1.44. So what does this mean, my friend? What does this mean? ZP ratio is 1.44. So T allowable ratio will also be same. So this means that hollow shaft will resist more torque compared to solid shaft. What is the ratio? 1.44. So hollow shaft will resist 1.44 times of solid shaft. Means if solid shaft can resist 10 kilonewton meter, then hollow shaft can resist 14.4 kilonewton meter. So hollow shaft can resist 44% more resistance, more torque compared to solid shaft. Hollow shaft is how much stronger? 44% more strong, 44% stronger than solid shaft. Hollow shaft is 45% stronger than solid shaft. Okay, so this is the proof that hollow shaft is stronger than solid shaft, my friend. So do you understand this concept, my friend? Do you understand this concept? Do you understand how you can compare a solid shaft and a hollow shaft? You can compare their strength by their polar section modulus. Okay, so here we calculated the ratio of their polar section modulus, and what value we are getting? Zp of hollow shaft divided by Zp of solid shaft is 1.44. So T allowable of hollow shaft is 44% more than T allowable of solid shaft. But this is one example, my friend. Okay, you can change this ratio, you can change the value of K, this will also change. Okay, you can change the value of K, this will also change. But for any value of K, hollow shaft will have greater Zp compared to solid shaft. Okay, hollow shaft will have greater Zp compared to solid shaft. Okay, so you will get theory questions based on this. Okay, from strength point of view, which one is better? From strength point of view, which one is better? Hollow shaft is better compared to solid shaft, my friend. Okay, so from strength point of view, hollow shaft is always better than solid shaft, my friend. Okay, so this was all about torsion in circular shaft. Now there is a very important topic in case of torsion, and that is combined bending and twisting. But combined bending and twisting I will tell you in a separate chapter. Okay, because for combined bending and twisting, first I have to explain complex stresses. So after we complete complex stresses, I will tell you combined bending and twisting, my friend. Okay, so from tomorrow we will start complex stress and strain. Okay, in tomorrow's chapter we will see how we can calculate stresses in complex loading condition, complex stresses. Okay, which is a very important topic from mechanical engineering point of view. Okay, if you are a mechanical engineer, maximum questions are from complex stress and strain. So that is a very important topic, my friend. Okay, so this was all for today's class. Now if you want to learn more from me, do not forget about Unacademy Plus, my friend. Most of the students are asking me what is the difference between YouTube videos and Unacademy Plus videos. So let's discuss something about Unacademy Plus. My friend, on YouTube I am just explaining what I know, but you are not able to ask me different doubts. We cannot have doubt sessions. You cannot post your question. Let's say you are studying something and then you get a question, which you cannot solve. Can you send me that question on YouTube? No. But on Unacademy Plus, you can send questions, you can post your questions, you can ask doubts anytime. On the spot, you can send question to your faculty. Okay, if I am teaching a torsion problem, if I am teaching torsion, you can send a problem from torsion on Unacademy Plus. So Unacademy Plus is a two-way channel, my friend. Unacademy Plus is a platform where students can interact with teachers. Here on YouTube, you cannot interact with teachers properly. That's the difference between Unacademy Plus and YouTube. And on YouTube, we don't get too much time, my friend. So that's why we have to complete this syllabus in a very limited time. But on Unacademy Plus, we get a lot of time. Okay, so there you will see the entire picture. Here I am just showing you a trailer, but on Unacademy Plus, you will see the entire picture, my friend. Okay, so you can imagine if I'm explaining this much on YouTube, how much I will explain on Unacademy Plus. Okay, so join Unacademy Plus right now. A lot of students have already joined and they are learning from the top educators of India. So don't lose in this race. Join Unacademy Plus as soon as possible using this referral code. This is my referral code, my friend, approved 10. If you use this referral code, you get 10% discount. If you use this referral code, you will get 10% discount and I will get a good feedback that you are joining through me. Okay, so don't forget to use this referral code. If you want to learn more about Unacademy Plus, if you have any doubts, if you want to know more, then you can ping me on Facebook, you can ping me on Instagram, you can connect with me on social media and I will explain everything about Unacademy Plus. Okay, now before going, please hit the like button and share these videos to all your friends. My friends, remember, we are putting a lot of efforts making in this video. So please help us reaching to maximum number of students. Sharing is caring, my friend. Okay, so post this link of video in your WhatsApp groups, in all your Facebooks, Instagram, Telegram, whatever social media platform you are using. Please post the link there and reach to your friends. Let's reach to maximum number of students, my friend. Okay, so thank you for watching this video, my friend, and I will see you tomorrow with a new topic, complex stress and strain. Thank you very much.